Alright, Trial Mob, so the golden hour is amongst us. We are finally getting the Astra Militarum in their great glory. Here we are finally getting the Death Corps of Krieg. Now, these guys have been fan favorites. I do believe I talked about them before and got feedback from the community. This was a hot topic for a lot of people that wanted basically, the regular human soldiers. Well, this is far from regular. These guys are ruthless, they're brutal, and their way is to basically live and die and fight for the Imperium, and they have no fear of death. So just something that makes them really cool, and I can understand why people would like them. So let's go ahead and break down what we've gotten so far. Now, it looks like we will be getting a 6-man team, though I do believe that these are all going to be sold separately. So that is something that is very important. One of the things that I wanted the Astra Militarum and basically any of their soldiers, regardless of whether the regular Krieg or the Cadians or whatever we end up getting, the one main thing that I was hoping for is that we were going to end up getting figures that were sold separately and hopefully at a very accessible price, so that if you just want to buy one or two, you can, or if you want to splurge on a whole squadron, you could do that as well, and that you'll be able to do it at your own pace. And hopefully they absolutely mass produce this, because as you guys can tell, these are some badass looking figures, man. This completely encapsulates what the Krieg Corps is supposed to look like. This looks identical to what we've seen before, and they have plenty of options. As you can tell here, they have a bunch of basically 6 different figures, with one of them being more of a regular figure, so that's something that looks cool. So to start it off, we are getting the Death Corps Krieg Veteran Squad Sergeant. So as you can tell, this guy, they all basically come with that rifle that you see on the back there. They're all going to come looking fairly well equipped. It really just comes down to a few differences. So this guy specifically comes with that chain sword and that bolt pistol. There's a few other differences. We're going to take a look at it right now. So definitely a great looking piece. This is supposed to be the sergeant. I love the sword. I love the details that we're getting on him. Those shoulder pauldrons that he has are actually removable. You'll see that in a second. But again, this is a really nice looking figure overall. I like the overall colors, the aesthetics, everything we're seeing here, the browns. There's something about that like grayish blue color that these guys have as their military uniform just really speaks to me, man. I really appreciate how good, or hopefully how good Joy Toy is going to bring these out when they finally hit the shelves, because as you know, not always, basically these pictures don't always translate perfectly into what the figure looks like in the real world. Now the backpack itself, just like the rest of them, are going to have a lot of good coloring onto them. Again, I really like the feeling that this is almost a World War II looking figure. I think that's something that probably is going to set off a lot of people to want to buy this. I could almost put a regular BAR in his arm and say this guy's from World War II, and you would totally agree with me. So I do like that aesthetic a lot. I'm hoping that we get other units specifically from these guys, because the Cadian obviously look like futuristic soldiers, but these guys have that old school rustic look to it, and I really do appreciate it. Again, especially with the backpack, this backpack looks like it can go on plenty of the World War II figures that Joy Toy has come out with recently. Now, all of these figures will have some kind of distinguishment between them and the other ones. Again, it's 6 different figures that are all supposed to be unique, though one of them, you'll see in a second, is supposed to be more of the army builder, so hopefully he'll be the easiest one to get. Now, as mentioned, those pauldrons do come off. You do get to see everything that he does come with. So 2 extra spare hands, the rifle, the bolt pistol, the chainsword, the backpack, and the shovel that they're known for. So as you can tell, all of that does come off of him. So if you just want to have him just basically like a fully stripped down soldier with just a rifle in his hand, you can do that, or you can add everything else, which I imagine those markings are what's going to make him basically denote him as the sergeant. Now here we have the explosives expert, so basically the demolition specialist, looking really good. As you can tell, there's a lot of the same look that we've seen before, the rifle that they all come with, but there are some distinguishing features about them. Again, these guys aren't necessarily the exact same figure. It's basically the same base figure, but a few differences amongst them, just as we've seen before. Again, the uniform looks awesome, and I do believe this guy, from what I can tell, has a different shovel than the other guy, and of course he has his explosive device right there on the bottom, so pretty good looking stuff. Now the big difference here is going to be that backpack. Obviously has that explosive wiring that we see there in the grenades. So again, this guy is supposed to be that like demolitions expert, the guy that's going to blow down the walls, or if there's tanks, or if there's just heavier units, this guy's going to be the guy that's going to clear the way of them. Now, again, the highlighted differences that we are seeing here are the fact that the backpack is going to be different. Again, you can see those grenades. That little skull in there looks fucking great. I really do hope we end up getting that in the final figure. It most likely will. And then because he is supposed to be more of that demolitions expert, his actual chest armor is different. The other one had more of those same brown colored, but this actually has armor on the chest. Again, probably to protect him from the explosions. Now, in terms of the whole kit, you get to see basically everything he comes with. Some wire cutters, the gun, the actual charge, the different hands, pauldrons. Again, we have the stripped down figure. Even fully stripped down, thanks to that armor on the chest, he doesn't look identical to the sergeant. So he does come with a really nice little kit here, and I think that it really tops off, helping you feel like you're, again, not buying the same figure over and over. Now here we have the veteran squad guardsman, or what I like to call the actual army builder. So this one seems to be the most regular one out of the bunch. He doesn't have any specialness about him. He's not the demolition guy, he's not the sergeant, he's not the medic. This guy is just straight up a soldier that you can probably buy 6 or 7 of them to go with the other guys, and it'll look perfectly fine. There's a few things I want to mention about this, so let's get into it. So pretty standard in terms of what he comes with, the same rifle that everybody else comes with, and of course a stick of dynamite that he's going to chuck at people. Again, just basically the assault rifle and grenade. Now again, here we do have a different backpack than what we've seen before. Again, I love the aesthetic. I really hope the browns do come out the way that we see here. It really does look like leather. I don't think it's going to be as good in the final product, but if they can kind of get it close, I would really appreciate it. Again, I like the overall aesthetic of the body itself and the uniform, and those browns look really nice in contrast. So hopefully we do get to see a lot of this in the final product. Now, as you can tell with the close-ups of the actual differences here, we do get more of the similar front that we got with the sergeant. On the backpack, we do get something also similar, but this one is different. We do see that canister at the bottom. I don't think I got a good photo where you can really tell what it is. If anybody knows, is that canister supposed to be food rashes? Is it supposed to be, I feel like it's supposed to be some kind of anti-tank bomb, like a claymore, but I could be wrong. Let me know what you guys think. Now again, on top of that, we do get to see what he comes with: the stick of dynamite, the shovel, the backpack, the 2 pauldrons. Again, this one looks a little bit more standard, but this is actually the only one that comes with a bayonet. This was something that was mentioned before in some of the Facebook premium pages, where basically, even though they all come with a figure, this is the only one that seems to come with a bayonet, even though all of them do come with a rifle, and technically they're all supposed to have this available. But I kind of like that. I kind of appreciate that. Again, he is just a regular figure, but he is the only one you can get this grenade and this bayonet with. So again, that's something that does at least make it more of that army builder type. Now, I was kind of hoping we were going to get a guy with a is it called multi-melta? Is I think what they refer to it as? Well, instead we ended up getting a flamer. Still really cool, really rad looking overall. Again, this is more of a specialty figure, not like the guardsman that we just saw. You'd only be buying one of these, of course, but you can do whatever you want. I'm just suggesting. Now, the flamer does look really cool. I actually do appreciate the fact that all the guns that we've seen so far have that skull on it, and I think that this is just as cool looking as any of the other weapons that we've gotten so far. I like the metals. I do hope that, again, some of the shading translates perfectly into the actual final product, but we'll again have to wait and see. Now, personally, I do really like how that gas tank looks on the back of him. The overall aesthetic looks nice, the brown, the grays, I do like it. The only thing I would say that I don't like about this one is I feel like he's prone to exploding, so maybe a little more armor on him, here or there would have made a big difference overall in the aesthetic. But for the most part, he obviously looks very different than anybody else, and I do believe he comes with a pistol. We'll see that in a second. Again, just a few close-ups right here of the actual backpack and weapon that he does come with. Other than that, a fairly standard figure. So this one right here actually will specifically only come with basically the flamethrower, the 2 pauldrons, and the different hands. So that'll be it. This one's a very basic looking figure. This is not the kind that you'll be able to just strip down unless you want to hand him a pistol from the sergeant or another kind of rifle. So again, maybe this could be something you can buy up, but you would need to buy a second one to be able to arm him with anything other than the flamethrower. Now here we have the Guardsman Communication Specialist. So this is kind of an interesting one. Basically, this is the guy that would be talking back between HQ and basically relaying different orders or whatever might be happening on the battlefield. This guy still comes with a lot of the same equipment, though I do believe that's a flare that we see there, and a different backpack, of course, that I think does look pretty dope. I personally do have a liking for this guy. You always have to have your radio guy, but the only thing I'm pretty sure of is that paper that he's supposed to be looking at is going to look really crappy in the actual figure. Again, Joy Toy doesn't do always the best job of translating this into the final figure, and I just get a feeling it's going to look really mushy. But aside from that, the rest of it should look pretty awesome. I like the way it looks like he has almost like 3 vials on his chest. That's something we haven't seen in any of the other ones from before. Now again, this backpack very different from everybody else. Still has the holder on the side for the rifle itself. I do appreciate little things like that. He has the literally that old school, radio style phone handle at the bottom. This is a really cool little aesthetic for this kind of figure, right? Just really plays the part in terms of being literally the radio guy, the call guy. I do appreciate a lot of what we see here. So again, we do get that close-up of the backpack looking really nice, and then I do believe, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that is a flare gun, and that those 3 vials right there, they're not vials, they're flare bullets. Is that what you would call them? Anyways, the aesthetic looks great. I really do like this one a lot. So 2 pauldrons, backpack, a satchel that I hadn't seen. I didn't realize he had a satchel on him. I'm not really sure where that was a second ago, but apparently he does come with a satchel on him. That's really nice. The gun, the flare gun as well, should I say, the rifle and the flare gun. So very good looking figure overall. This one's definitely one of the more interesting ones. Alright, and potentially the most important squad mate, it's going to be the Guardsman Medic. So this guy is going to be the one that's going to be saving you on the battlefield, and considering they're basically the guardsmen always have incredibly high casualties, I imagine this guy's job is pretty difficult, but he definitely comes with probably the most intricate looking kit, and it's a little gruesome considering he has a hacksaw literally on his forearm, probably to amputate people on the spot. So that's pretty rough. Now the white backpack on the left, I really do like how clean it looks. I do hope that it does end up coming out that clean. I guess he has a syringe that he's pulling, medicine out of. This is what I mean when I say I'm uninterested in certain things that like Acid Rain does when they do some of their world building stuff. They make figures that are kind of off the battlefield, right? Like an off the battlefield medic. I'll be talking about that later. But this I love. He's an in-battle medic. He has the assault rifle, but he also has all the tools of the trade that make him a medic. So that's definitely something to consider in terms of why I would want to buy this specific medic, right? I can still strip him down, put a rifle in his hand, and he's still a rifleman at the end of the day. Now again, this guy does seem to be a little bit more of the gruesome one out of the team, so I'm not really quite sure what those red things are at the bottom. I don't think they're bombs. I kind of think they're blood. I'm not sure if he's supposed to be doing transfusions on the field or whatever, but again, very interesting look. Again, the rest of the body identical, but it's these little details that make this guy a completely different other figure. And then here we do get a little bit of a better close-up of some of what we're seeing there. Again, that hacksaw, that's really morbid considering, again, I don't think that's for close quarter combat. I'm sure he could use it for that for sure, but again, he's probably amputating people with that, and he's got his syringe, the canister that he's pulling it from, and then some kind of medicine on the backpack. So again, really cool, if not kind of gruesome figure. Now, of course, he is all kitted out, and I actually didn't realize this, but he doesn't hold that syringe in his hand. It comes attached directly to a hand. So we get 2 regular hands, the syringe holding hand, the canister. I can't really tell what that little gray thing is between the canister and that left hand that we see there. And then, of course, backpack pauldrons, the bag itself, and his assault rifle. So very kitted out. I really appreciate the fact that every single figure that we've seen so far has, in fact, had an assault rifle. Again, I think that that's a really good aesthetic for it to have. The flamethrower doesn't have it. Okay, that's the one exception. That's okay. But he does have it, and that's fine with me. But my only last concern for you guys is that I'm not quite sure about the articulation of the legs. Awesome Action Toys did mention that it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get all the way up to 90, so a kneeling pose might not be possible, so something to look out for. Now switching back over to the Primaris, they have finally made their way to the tabletop, so we will be getting the Blood Angels. Now this isn't the Death Company, this is the regular, you really can't just call them regular, but let's just say the non-Death Corps Blood Angels. And man, this red looks incredible. Low Life, you definitely mentioned it, that they definitely got the red right on this, and man, I agree with you, brother, this looks incredible. Just something about red soldiers is really dope. The blue looks good, of course, too, but again, just the way that these guys look, the shimmer, the actual look of blood that they have in their armor is quite the treat to the eye. So here we actually did get a video of what the actual figures are going to look like. So here we have the Dreadnought. The Dreadnought looks incredible, at least to me he does. And articulation looks like it's at least decent for what's a fairly squared figure. You don't really need to get too much out of this, just enough to be able to get him in some of the poses that we're used to seeing. But again, man, beautiful looking figure. This looks like a thick boy, and all the details all around the body, on the pauldrons, on the back, just everything seems to come together really nicely. And now for the rest of the team, they are doing basically similar to what we saw with the Imperial Fists, where basically it's going to be four different figures, including the what are they called? The Eviscerators? Anyways, I messed that one up. I know somebody's going to say something in the comments. Let me know who the big red guy is again. But basically, as you can tell, these are great looking figures overall. The reds look beautiful. The coloring looks beautiful. And, you know, here we get to see that there's a little bit less of a differentiation between these three compared to the Imperial Fists. The Imperial Fists definitely feel like you're getting three very distinct figures. These ones look a little bit more alike, a little bit more squad-like, but that's okay. I think that overall it's a sweet looking set of figures, and I'm sure that plenty of you are just as ecstatic for these ones as you are for the other ones, so that's something that I cannot wait to see. Of course, I cannot let you guys go without at least giving you guys a back shot here, and as you can tell, plenty of detail all throughout these figures. Again, this red looks great. I really hope that from the videos that I just showed you guys, that really is what the final product will look like, because again, this red just looks really nice. Just again, something about red soldiers really pops off, really makes the armor look shiny. So I really do hope we get what we see here, because I know plenty of you are salivating at potentially being able to get a pre-order. Make sure you're tuning into Locker Toys, Big Bad Toy Store, AliExpress. You'll be able to get these sets at basically all of those and more. Alright, Trial Mob, and there you have it. The Death Corps of Krieg and the Blood Angels have officially been announced. This is definitely, as mentioned before, the golden hour for Warhammer, because there's a few things that I want to leave you guys with to think about. That leg articulation, I know for a fact, is going to be slightly limited. You're not going to be able to get all the poses that you want out of it, but I don't think that's necessarily a deal breaker. Just something to note. Maybe the aftermarket will cover it. And the other thing here is scale. So there's still a chance that these might end up being the slightest bit smaller to try to make up for some of that scale, or maybe they'll be oversized, who knows. So this will kind of make or break some of this for us, but in the most part, I think most people are going to buy it. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys care about scale? Do you guys care about these? You're going to buy them anyway? And more than importantly enough, please go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think, and then of course I will see you guys on the next feature. There is still some more stuff for me to cover.